There is good reason to bring those beverage bottles back when you're done with them. Everyday glass can be recycled over and over again without losing its quality. But only about 1/3 of the glass Americans use is processed. In Louisiana, a couple of Tulane students found a way to turn that trash into treasure, using it for coastal restoration in a state steadily losing its wetlands. With more than 125,000 acres of shoreline, Lake Pontchartrain is one of North America's largest Gulf Coast ecosystems, fed by a delicate mix of both fresh and saltwater wetlands.
As Louisianians, this is our heart and soul.
That balance is what Francisca Troutman is trying to save.
We rely on these wetlands, these marshes for our livelihood, but also for our protection against storms and hurricanes as they roll into the city.
We rode along with her to the Big Branch Coastal Restoration Area near Bayou Lacombe. So this is it?
Yeah, so this is the sand. Like I said, it's a little coarser than what we usually see in these areas.
Oh boy, okay.
You got it?
I think so. To see how burlap bags filled with crushed glass are making a difference in the fight against coastal erosion.
Is all this water that would normally meander down a bayou slowly and find its way back out into Lake Pontchartrain has now found a shortcut that is essentially going straight out at a high rate of speed into the lake.
Nick Stevens is a wetland ecologist.
So when the water moves this fast, we don't have any sediment deposition. There's no soils dropping out of the water and accreting new land.
A vicious cycle of rushing water fueled by erosion that further blows out vegetation already weakened by land loss. Between 1932 and 2016, about 25% of Louisiana's wetlands were washed away. Troutman and a team of volunteers slowed that process by planting bulrush shoots fortified by those sacks of sand.
So all of these bulrush plants are what we planted in the project.
All new?
Yes.
So these mounds here?
Yeah,
all of
new.
this?
Yeah. This was all open water.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of insane to see now.
It took just 9 months.
We were not expecting that project to work so well so quickly. Our marshlands are like our first line of defense for storms.
So as goes this particular marsh, so goes
the land behind it.
The North Shore.
Right.
It all starts inside this 40,000 square foot recycling plant in New Orleans, where mounds of bottles that would have ended up in landfills are processed into sand.
This is our mixed mountain of glass. This is where we mix all the different colors that we get, so especially for our pickup clients like restaurants and bars.
Troutman co-founded Glass Half Full with her partner Max Stites after a light bulb moment over a bottle of wine.
It was his idea.
Really?
But I claim the name.
It's been a wild ride, for sure. It's from, a bottle of wine to millions of bottles of wine.
Launched 3 years ago on GoFundMe. The company went from a backyard operation to recycling more than 3 million pounds of glass.
Step one is consumption, so it's someone, and hopefully someone enjoys it. From there, it can either be picked up by our team or dropped off at our facility. From there, it goes into our processing system, put it into a giant glass mountain. We'll come in with a front-end loader, scoop it up, put it into our processing machinery, which will start that pulverization process. From there, we refine it and sift it into various sizes, each with a different utilization or different purpose. And then from there, it's bagged, packaged, and ready to go, be deployed to something that actually benefits our community over and over again.
Take me to your best friend's house.
They got their message out through social media.
The funny thing is, he made one on the Glass Half Full TikTok. I think it got 9.5 million views.
What?
But then I made one on my TikTok and got 14 million views. But anyway. I think it was one to this really dramatic music where it went like, I just like made these faces and I put text on screen like, I couldn't believe my state didn't recycle glass. So now we're using it for coastal restoration. It's always the same like idea that goes viral.
Troutman and Stites hope to spread the message far and wide.
Do you see this scaling beyond New Orleans?
Absolutely. Our long-term goals in the next few years be the glass recycler for this Gulf South region, so including Mississippi and South Louisiana.
That's another thing with our generation is we're seeing firsthand that climate change is not hundreds of years away or decades away. It is happening now. We see in Louisiana, most recently with Hurricane Ida, huge portions of land that are washed away.
Stites says true recycling, turning old glass bottles into new ones, just hasn't worked.
And the fact of the matter is, these smelting facilities to, these bottling producers, they're not that many in the U.S. They're extremely expensive to build. They're very, very energy intensive.
And so that's why we always say, it might not be the perfect solution in everyone's eyes, but at least it's a solution in which the glass is no longer going to the landfill, but actually doing something good.
Could you see Louisiana being restored to what it was 25, 50, 100 years ago?
I mean, it's definitely an uphill battle, restoring our coastline. And I think the main goal is to stop any more loss and just prevent as much as we can and protect the coastlines that we do have.
And another great reason this is such a great idea is that we're facing a global sand shortage. Sand is the second most utilized, consumed raw material behind water, and we're using it like 2 to 3 times more higher rate than we had some 20 years ago. So, it's important for us to, 1, help to replenish a natural resource, 2, to make sure you shore up coastal erosion, but 3, recycling matters.
Well, it's interesting they say that in the piece that true recycling they think hasn't worked.
Right.
So you find some modification for it that does work. That's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, and it's amazing how quickly they were able to have an impact there.
Oh, yeah.
Because that map
Yeah.
that you showed
Oh, yeah.
is frightening.
It really is. We see maps of Louisiana from 50 years ago. The boot no longer exists.
Yeah. If they can help rebuild some of that somehow, some way, it's amazing.